Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for your patience as we waiting for a few new members to show up from the Colby Sawyer breakfast. This is a continuation. Today's Tuesday, June 17th. A continuation of the Atlanta Planning Board meeting for the final site plan review for the 331 Main Street project. So.
I can do that, sure. So I can sort of go over what Aiden and Liz submitted.
Forgot to mention we're being recorded. Yep. Sorry.
So it was clarified that the snow storage is exactly 20%. Were there any modifications made to achieve that 20%, Aiden? No. Okay. 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 And then the landscaped open space is exactly 35%. And the plan has been clarified to say landscaped open space to match the regulations, and a copy of the pending easement agreement with the Snow Chadwick property, which is it's their corporation, B&W. B&W Properties is going to be filed simultaneously with the closing of the land with the bank. Lauren Chadwick couldn't be here during the day, but I did speak with her this morning, and she said that I shared her side of things that was agreeable, and that she felt like her easement was protected and no further conditions were needed on our behalf for her interest.
We also have the Mylar of the new updated survey ordinance.
Do you just want to say that into the mic? Sorry, Liz, thanks.
Hi again, everyone. And first of all, thank you again for this special meeting and for expediting this process. I really appreciate you all being here on a Tuesday morning. So along with the easement, we have the Mylar ready to register with the county.
Okay, great.
And as you said, we're going to do that upon closing of the land with the bank.
Great. And so as part of the, if you guys are so moved to make a motion of approval when we do that, we will put a condition on for the voluntary lot merger too that was noted on the plan, but prior to the issuance of the zoning permit, then they will file their voluntary lot merger paperwork with the planning board once they own I assume the bank doesn't want those merged before you close on them, and then once you close, it's just a piece of paper that you file with us. It's not a public hearing, it is a regular agenda item on the planning board, and then that gets filed at the county and the lot line is abandoned, and so it all becomes one lot. So I would make that a condition to think about. And then I guess if the board members have questions or the public.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have any, I'm trying to remember now, and I apologize, coffee hasn't kicked in. We don't have any other conditions that.
No, I still have some concerns over the practicality of where the snow storage is and what that's going to be like, moving all of the snow the entire length of the property and then turning 90 degrees to put it there. So, whether you want just noted in the notice of decision that there may be excess, that's a lot of snow to sort of pile in one spot, that it may need to get trucked out just feasibly in order to maintain those parking spaces. It's a little easier to keep shorter snow banks over a long run than it is to dump all of the snow from the parking lot into one corner. Technically, they've met the percentage of the snow storage requirement, so I don't think we can necessarily force that they have a contract with a landscape company, but I think from a practical standpoint, Liz will probably need the snow removed if it becomes a barrier anyways. But.
Yeah, so I'm inclined on that to you don't have any incentive to not have your parking spaces available, so I'm inclined to just let them deal with that as long as they're meeting the actual technical requirement, though it may be challenging, but you don't have any incentive to not make that work, essentially. So are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Yeah, Paul.
Adam, is other than their design, do we have a parking requirement?
So parking for schools is sort of unique in that the regulation leaves it up to the planning board's review, that there is not a specific number, like with a restaurant where it's based on seats in the restaurant, or a business is based on the square footage. In this case, the total equals almost half the pupils in the school, assuming that they're not all being dropped off at the exact same time and having their parents park, and that there's not some overlap with, 2 kids in a family. I think it seems sufficient in balancing the impervious area with the additional open space of the playground.
My question was only if we have those storms and they have the snow problem and they pile it in 2 spaces, that's not really a violation of zoning, is it?
No. I guess the only thing, maybe a question for Aiden would be if the runoff is designed any differently in the snow storage area versus for the volume of runoff from a snow pile versus in the parking lot, or if it's all going to go in the same catchment.
All in all, it goes to the same system, not necessarily the same catchment. Water from the high point between the driveways, about here. So all pretty much of the runoff from this majority of the driveway goes to this catch basin that's in the road there, and then the portion that goes into the system here, and then another catch basin in the road, which then also ties into the system, is just this small little portion here. So it's the amount of snow that or water that would then be from here to there would be kind of a pretty small portion. So we think it can handle it, and at the same time, that snow is not going to instantly melt overnight. It's going to be a slow trickle. Those snowbanks last forever. It's a slow trickle out, so it's perfectly fine where it is. Like you said, even if it does get gigantic, there's probably a scenario where some of it will probably have to get trucked off site. So it's not going to overload that catch basin at all.
I just wanted to add to that our snow storage is also green space, so we're planting wildflowers under there, so it's not being piled up on an impervious surface. So there will be some inherent drainage that will happen over the course of the end of winter, very long transition to spring, that will seep into the ground there.
Only if the ground's not frozen, but.
Thanks, all of you. Other questions from the board? So then just to recap, what we would be looking for would be a condition on the voluntary lot merger. And then with folks, I'm kind of looking for folks, are we okay with not getting into the snow storage because they've met the requirement as far as a condition? You okay with that? Yeah, Janet.
Just an observation, as someone who's been very involved with those parking lots, you're going to have it bucket loaded. There's no way that you'll pile it up because there's just not enough space. If we have the snow we had this past winter, that type of thing. So I just plan for that if I were you, okay?
Yeah, fair point. But given that they've met it, you're okay with us? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Emily.
Do we need to mention that there should be some sort of an easement agreed upon of the Chadwick property going in and out of the parking lot prior
So
or included in?
because they have this already it's already been signed and waiting for the closing.
Okay.
Lauren didn't feel like we needed any
Oh,
additional
perfect.
condition when I
Okay,
asked her this
okay. As
morning.
long as they're on,
Yep.
perfect, thanks.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. So I believe we would just have we just would need wording for the one, for the voluntary lot merger condition, and then nothing else, correct? You
I don't think so. Do you want me to do finding of fact?
Yeah,
and
if
then
you
read
would.
the
Yeah, that'd be
condition?
great.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm confused, Adam.
Yep.
I thought there was a subdivision going on here of the property.
There's no subdivision. It's currently 2 lots.
Okay.
And so obviously they've designed it as one. So once the Montessori school owns it, they'll merge it to one.
My fault. I thought that the bank still owned both of them.
They do still own both of them, and then they own their own lot too, but they've always been individual.
Thanks. Yeah, so if you can do finding of facts and
Sure.
the condition.
So the first is that the use is allowed by special exception granted by the Zoning Board of Adjustment on April 1st, 2025. Number 2, the building is compliant with required setbacks. Number 3, the parking lot and associated impervious surfaces include necessary drainage. Number 4, the landscape plan is compliant with site plan review regulations, and that with the granting of the waivers, the lighting plan is compliant with the site plan regulations. So then to remind you, let me just real quickly pull up the waivers. Remember which one of your documents had the waiver executive summary? There we go. I probably have the hard copy. I could just default to. Yep. Okay, so the first is the waivers requested to reduce the landscape setback for the driveway, so to 7.5 feet for the side lot line abutting Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. The reduction in width allows for a bypass lane to be created, preventing a backup in traffic onto Main Street. For these reasons, we believe the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit of the intent of the regulation. The second is that the proposed parking area is mainly for overflow parking during drop-off and peak and during drop-off and pickup, and will frequently be unused. A majority of the parking area is within the 0.2 minimum. The proposed layout will reduce excessive light and glare on the property. For these reasons, the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit of the intent of the regulations. And that's speaking to what the minimum level of light is, and so they're going to be just below that, so less light pollution, really. So for the board then, that would be voting on those two waivers, and then if someone is so inclined to take a third vote on the actual motion to approve, including the condition that the lots will be voluntarily merged to a single lot of record prior to the issuance of a zoning permit.
Can we do the waivers in one? I'm sorry. Is that right? Okay. So first off, I'm looking for a motion to approve those waivers. Okay, moved and seconded rather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Okay. So next up, we would need a motion with that condition that Adam can you read it one more time?
Yep.
Sorry.
The lots will be voluntarily merged to a single lot of record prior to the issuance of the zoning permit. And the zoning permit is the last town step, which is an administrative process that says you've achieved all of your local approvals, and we send that copy to the state fire marshal's office for you to apply for your state building permit.
Thanks, Adam. Any final questions from the board? And I should have asked no one from the public, I don't think. Okay. Great, so I would look for a motion for someone from the board to approve this with that condition. Okay, moved and seconded by the same crew. Thank you, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? No? Okay.
That should be it.
Thank you all for this, for your work on this.
Then we just have to, just for the sake of the video, the next meeting is July 22nd. And
Thank you, everyone.
thanks.
Thanks a lot.
So you
Yeah,
get
so the next meeting is, I'm sorry, is July 22nd?
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's a long way off. Yep. Well, enjoy your summer,
So,
folks. Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Well, it'll be half over by then. Pay attention to the news next week is when the governor is anticipated to be signing things, if they get signed. So if there's a good news source that sort of encompasses everything that happens, we'll send it out, but stay tuned.
Which ones have passed?
There's a few. ADU passed House and Senate. Parking requirements passed House and Senate. Update to the manufactured home definition. There's several. It's hard to keep them all straight, but
There was redefining how many people could live in any building that passed to?
I'm not sure. It was basically saying that we couldn't limit it to 5 people anymore, and I honestly lost track of that one.
Was that
Yep.
Cap on families.
Which was a popular college town requirement, which is how we ended up with it, and it probably is fairly antiquated and very difficult to track.
Be thrilled to have that many people in college. Anything else? Okay, well, thanks everybody for making time on a Tuesday morning. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming right from the breakfast. And thanks, Adam. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, so